The main protagonist, Bnelt, is the sovereign ruler of demons, reigning for a millennium. He governed over the demon city and was invincible. A century ago, he annihilated the hero of the fiery element, employing frigid flames. 90 years ago, he slew the hero of the watery element, utilizing the submergence of boiling water. 70 years ago, Bnelt vanquished the hero of the aerial element, employing the incantation of primordial vortex. Afterward, no hero dared to trespass into his dominion. However, a courageous individual capable of such a feat emerged. The battle of centuries lasted for 7 days and nights until the hero Ilya vanquished the demon king. 50 years later, his castle transformed into a grand museum, and the king himself was sealed within a stone sculpture. All demons were stripped of their innate demonic power. Despite Ilya's mercy, humans and other races still subjected demons to ridicule, deeming them inferior beings. Late in the evening, the demon Lacey, having consumed the saliva of the magical dragon, regained a portion of her magical prowess and resurrected the demon king. The king assumed the form of a 17 to 18-year-old lad. Initially, Lacey proposed to Bnelt the resurrection of the entire demon race, but he declined. At that moment, Omu, a knight of the royal guard, appeared. She launched an assault on the demons, grievously wounding Lacey. Bnelt did not wish to perish immediately, yet his entire magic had been sealed, except for the power of paired cultivation, the final magic with which a demon could interact. As far as the demon was aware, this magic was activated through a kiss. Bnelt drew Lacey close and locked her in a kiss. The magic of paired cultivation was activated, and the demon king triumphed over Omu. Following the battle, Bnelt reconsidered Lacey's proposition. Now, he was determined to save the demons by developing the clandestine magic of paired cultivation. The events are unfolding in Rose, a city named after Ilya Rose. Formerly the capital of the Demon King, it has turned into a bustling human-controlled city. If one has the means, they can satisfy all their needs, including the services of brothels. Bnelt came here to pursue paired cultivation, but upon being recognized as a demon, he was promptly expelled. On the street, he and Lacey met a demoness who told them about the St. Edmund Academy, the last chance for a demon to become someone of significance in this world. The entrance exams began 2 days later. In order for a demon to register, they need to obtain a guaranteed commitment from a representative of the nobility. Lacey suggests finding another way, but the young man falls into a state of D, the highest degree of depression of the king. It is very dangerous to disturb him at this time. While they were sitting peacefully, the demon was struck by a magical force. It happened accidentally, as the magical strike was not far from the demon's battle. Unable to contain his anger, the demon enters into a battle and successfully defeats Roida Sumu, the man whom Alice Rose, the granddaughter of Ilya Rose, fought against. Bell was very angry. He approached Royd and forced him to apologize. Alice did not like this behavior, and approaching the Demon King, she ordered him to release Bell. When the guy turned to her, the magic of paired cultivation was activated, and both mages felt a thirst for closeness. Lacey stood between them and pushed them apart. To avoid revealing their secret magic, the demon attributed this feeling to the special ability of incubi, lascivious demons seeking sexual relationships with girls. Afterward, both demons apologized to Alice, prepared to leave, but she stopped them. Alice thanked them for their help in the battle, giving her high-ranking hero family's signature as a guarantee. The next day, all 3 of them went to the academy. In the academy's courtyard, Alice met with Newt. Seeing the demons behind Alice, she assumed they were her servants. But Alice explained that they were her acquaintances and that it was better not to approach Bnelt since he was an incubus. However, this only interested Newt, and she began to ask the demon for sexual closeness. After that, Alice pushed them away from each other. Alice and Newt began to argue, and the elf Roxana joined them. Newt, Alice, and the elf Roxana are descendants of heroes who set out on a campaign against the Demon King. The squad consisted of 4 members. Of course, Illy's merits were the greatest. It was precisely for this reason that discord arose between Alice's family and the families of the other heroes. Not allowing anyone to continue the conversations and disputes, Edward appeared. Using spatial magic, he appeared at the academy's doorstep. Edward greeted the applicants and introduced himself as their examiner. Hearing this, Lacey was worried whether they could pass the exam with such a high-ranking person. Bell reassured her. Even though he had not yet figured out the conditions for activating paired cultivation, he had already regained a small portion of his strength after 2 activations. To completely calm Lacey, the demon decided to demonstrate his newly controlled power, but this only further agitated the girl. The boy's power was quite negligible. To help Belu, she decided to resort to trickery. Lacey retrieved a vial of dragon saliva and, handing it to the king, began urging him to drink it just before the exam. However, the demon refused. Belmont convinced Liced that the demon race is no different from others and can achieve success through honest means. But before she could hide the vial back, Lacey was caught by Edward and insultingly expelled from the academy. She was once again called riffraff, and this angered the demon. Belmont warned that he would soon make Edward apologize to Lacey. The latter paid no attention to this. The exam began, and Edward moved everyone to a mountain not far from the academy. The mage created a bridge from the mountain to the tower of the academy and announced the rules. It was necessary to walk on the mast within 30 minutes. It seemed simple, but the bridge pulled the mages towards itself, and they fell down. To continue moving, one had to maintain inner balance. The descendants of heroes did not have any particular difficulties, but things were not so rosy for the demon. The demon's current magical power was not enough to break free, and it was being pulled deeper. However, that did not mean that he would not find a way to win. The bridge was made of a large number of slimes, magical creatures of a special category. Belmont transformed the surrounding slimes into liquid and easily swam in it. This power of control amazed and angered Edward, who did not want demonic riffraff to learn in the academy. He overturned the bridge and the space around it. Then he revived the slimes, and their tentacles grabbed the applicants. Ordinary slimes are just weak magical creatures, but if several of them unite into one, they can give a headache even to a highly experienced hero. Therefore, only candidates with outstanding skills are able to pass this test. Newt and the elf easily dealt with the slimes and continued on their way. Alice, on the other hand, helped anyone who caught her eye and also quickly dealt with the slimes. The Demon King was doing just as well. He used all his residual magic and concentrated it in his language to use the speech circle. With its help, he was able to tame the slimes. However, Edward did not like this, so he gave the slimes a potion called Black Blood of the Python near the demon. Because of the potion, they transformed and attacked Belmont. He still could not move on the bridge, so he was helpless. But then Alice appeared and saved the demon. Seeing this scene, Edward decided to return the regenet back so that the hero's descendant would not suffer. But his spatial magic did not work. The girl struggled with the slime, but all her attempts were useless. After consuming the potion, this monster became able to restore 1% of the peak power of a magical creature. The monster quickly adapted to Alice's magic, so she could no longer harm it. Alice was angry at the demon who just stood there while she fought alone. The demon decided to use the magic of paired cultivation and kissed Alice. The demon's magic failed to activate, but Alice's strike against the demon worked perfectly. The young woman screamed at Belmont, begging him to run to the academy for help, but he refused to leave her to certain death. Alice was eager to defend her people, including the demon. While they were talking, the monster gained strength and attacked them again, and the compatibility of its magic with Alice's fiery power caused an explosion. The demon shielded the girl, and they both flew off to the side. If a hero's duty is to protect the people, then that duty now includes protecting demons. Belmont decided to pass this test no matter what. He took Alice's hand and absorbed her magic. Combining it with his own power of control, he dealt a devastating blow to the monster. Then they made their way to the academy together, where they were greeted by Edward. He began accusing the demon of cheating and was about to kick him out of the academy, calling him a scum. Not allowing himself to be insulted, the demon struck him in the face. At that moment, Director Karen Lennon emerged from the tower after the demon passed the trial. She greeted the student and teleported him with Alice to the office of the academy's governing body. To prove their qualifications for admission, the director prepared an additional exam for them. There are unwritten rules in the academy that dictate the council does not accept demons, and only one representative from great houses in one generation. Alice's brother was admitted last year, so she could no longer apply. Why do they want to attend the academy? Alice aspires to become a hero capable of protecting the people, just like her grandmother Ilya. Belmont wants to grant demons equal rights as other races. Karen Lennon gave the Damocles rings to the mages, which were created by Lady Ilya. If the wearer of one of the rings is recognized by the ring, it is direct evidence of their ability to become a hero. Whoever the ring does not recognize will be deprived of magic and die. They put on the rings, and the judge of the ring appeared before them. Belmont harbored the powerful force of the four elements and the endless power of control of the great king of demons. Therefore, the judge immediately recognized him. Alice was resentful due to the oppression of her family, and she felt like a nobody. Therefore, the judge began to absorb her magic. The demon could not watch this happen and stood up for the girl. Using the magic of paired cultivation, he defeated the judge. The director enrolled them in the academy. On the following day, the semester began. Prior to the commencement of classes, the demon met with Lacey, assuring her that everything was going according to plan. At the academy, there were numerous beautiful young ladies whom Belmont intended to utilize in his plan to hack the magic of paired cultivation. Before heading off to his classes, Lacey gave him a guide to communicating with the opposite sex. Upon entering his lecture hall, the demon discovered that the male and female students were separated into different rooms. During his first lesson, Belmont met with Racket, the son of a count. Racket had not an ounce of sympathy for the demon and glared at him with a look of "I will destroy you." The demon responded with his kind gaze. Racket was fond of Alice, and upon learning that she had been frequently communicating with Belmont as of late, he began to despise the demon even more. Unable to contain his rage, Racket approached Belmont and summoned a manticore, a highly advanced magical monster, warning him to never again be in the presence of Alice. Belmont was not afraid and approached the creature closer, leaving Racket bewildered. The manticore was once one of the strongest magical creations of the demonic race. Its core is made of magic, allowing it to take on various forms depending on the situation. A single strike from this creature can shatter city walls. In the past, 5 manticores on a battlefield could hold off a human army of 1,000. At present, the powerful monster is enraged. Racket struck the manticore, causing it to go berserk and attack him. The demon stepped in to protect Racket and, breaking the manticore's chains, turned it into a kitten. The manticore was female, and one should not treat women so roughly. The demon transformed the kitten into a woman. He was describing this according to the book that Lacey gave him. She accidentally gave him the part of the book that mostly dealt with sexual education. After yesterday, all the guys in his audience began to respect the demon. Everyone, without exception, called him their elder brother. Racket spent the whole day trying to properly greet his elder brother, but he remained indifferent and ignored him. Belmont's mind was occupied with thoughts of girls and paired cultivation. At lunch, Newt invited the demon to talk about paired cultivation. Belmont didn't want to be exposed, so he went with her. Newt didn't reveal the demon. Instead, she attributed his paired cultivation magic to the ability of incubi to absorb their partner's energy. At the end of the conversation, the girl attacked Belmont in an attempt to kill him, but Racket appeared in time and stopped her. Newt left, promising that she wouldn't have such luck next time. Later, it was revealed that Newt had sent a message to the Academy's Student Council, the president of which is Alice's elder brother, Adonis. Rumors spread around the Academy that many of the students were planning to kill the demon and gain his powers. After Newt's attack, all the younger brothers actively began to defend Belmont, but this became an additional obstacle, so Belmont convinced Racket that there was no need to defend him. While they were talking, Brian, a sophomore who had been held back for beating a classmate, approached them. Brian approached the demon to strike, but he easily repelled his attack. There was no continuation of the fight, as the teacher announced the start of the practical lesson. The goal of the lesson was to successfully battle magical puppets. The lesson was conducted in groups of 2 people. Upon entering the portal, the group found themselves in a random location near the forest where the battle would take place. Brian and Newt were in the same group, but before they entered the portal, the demon pushed Brian and took his place. Newt attempted to slay the demon again. This time, The golem's appearance saved him. Newt quickly attacked them, causing them to fall to the ground. While she was proud of herself, the demon reminded her that without destroying the golem's core, she would not be victorious despite destroying its body. At that moment, the stone monster grabbed Newt, and despite her attempts to escape, it was useless. The demon lacked the magic of perception required to destroy the golem's core, but Bnelt didn't need it. He used the Eye of True Knowledge, a power possessed only by the Demon King, which not only allows him to see through everything, but also enables him to discern the direction of magical energy flow. Seeing all the cores, he quickly destroyed the golems and freed Newt. The Beast Woman was now sympathetic towards him and no longer wished to kill him. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Brian threatened to turn the forest into the demon's grave. Bnelt lost consciousness upon seeing Newt naked. Previously, when the Eye of True Knowledge was activated, the enemies and comrades of the demon looked as though they were under the influence of Rigenton's rays. Currently, Bnelt's decline in magical powers has resulted in the Eye of True Knowledge acting unreliably and penetrating only the superficial layer. For this reason, he saw the girl's naked body for the first time. When the Eye of TZ was disabled, the demon learned the reason why he was being hunted. In the past, humans, elves, dwarves, and beastmen united and created a common alliance against the Demon King. After the war, humans, citing the merits of Ilya, gained control over 7/10 of the continents of Pristilla. The remaining 3/10 were divided among the other races. Humans considered themselves superior and bullied others, and the others were unhappy with humans in return. This time, Lady Rose, whose lineage symbolizes the greatness of humans, violated the alliance treaty and even brought a demon with her. This gave cause to start a fight. While they were talking, Brian attacked them, intending to kill them both. Newt drank the dragon's saliva and doubled her strength. However, it still wasn't enough. Brian beat her, calling her the same reject as the demon. After their victory over them, he also intended to deal with Alice. His behavior angered the Demon King greatly. Bnelt drank the remnants of the dragon's saliva and regained the strength of the Demon King. With a single blow, he deprived Brian of his hand. Since childhood, Brian's father taught him to fear demons, and he was subjected to torment and physical abuse. Bnelt offered Brian a chance to die with dignity by apologizing to Newt, but he refused and insulted the girl again. Brian summoned his fallen Hercules magical spirit, but Bnelt blocked his attack. A magical spirit is created from its owner's emotions, and Brian's was fueled by not only anger, but also fear of his long-deceased father. Bnelt called upon his magical spirit Cain, and quickly destroyed Brian's fallen Hercules. For causing suffering, Cain will retaliate sevenfold, transforming into Brian's greatest fear, his father. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Adonis and his secretary were heading towards a bomb explosion, hoping to teach the demon a lesson. Newt halted Bnelt, preventing him from killing Brian. This is a hero academy, and if the demon were to resort to violence to solve problems, it would seem that he is going against the very academy itself. Brian didn't calm down and attempted to strike the demon. In response, Bnelt struck him, leaving the poor guy without his clothes. Then the demon was hit with the side effect of using dragon saliva. If he doesn't release the remnants of his power, eventually they will consume him. The magic of paired cultivation is the only thing that can help the demon right now. Bnelt fell onto Newt, but fearing that nothing would come of it, he stood up and prepared to find Alice. At that moment, Adonis appeared with his secretary, Teresa. He attacked the survivor, Brian, and headed towards the demon, mocking his situation. Before the battle, Adonis gave Newt a chance to leave and recalled the incident of espionage. Newt had been a spy and had been watching Alice since childhood, but she had long since given it up. Newt and Alice became best friends, and if their friendship could harm Alice, Newt was willing to do anything to make her happy. Realizing that the demon was in mortal danger, Newt decided to confront Adonis, giving Bnelt the opportunity to leave. As a farewell, Newt asked the demon to apologize to Alice on her behalf. Bnelt did not leave. He remained to defend Newt. Adonis struck the demon. His power is not like others. Typically, magic is transmitted through space, but his magic manifested in the concept of time. At the moment of use, magic already reaches the opponent. Bnelt simply did the same and reflected the attack. The demon's body is about to be consumed by his own magic. Every time he uses magic, he accelerates this process. Bnelt urgently needs magic of paired cultivation, but special conditions are needed for its activation. That time, when Belle was with Lacey, magic was activated because she hoped he would revive their race, and Belle promised to do so. With Alice, magic was activated because she was in desperate need of demon protection. To activate paired cultivation, there needs to be an intention to do something for the opposite sex. The demon promised Newt that she would live, and this time she would become a real friend to Alice. After kissing her, he repelled Adonis' attacks and freed himself from the absorption of his magic. The practical exercise time was up, and portals appeared in front of the groups. Bnelt held Newt in his arms, and not wanting to continue the fight, he crossed the portal. Alice met them, hugging Newt in tender embraces. Following them, Adonis and Teresa appeared in the clearing. Adonis announced to everyone present that the demon before them is the freed demon King Bnelt. He explained that not long ago, the stone statue was broken, and the king was freed, and now stood before them. To prove his point, Adonis brought Oma, a witness of that night, but she denied Adonis' words. Oma said that this 17 to 18-year-old little devil couldn't have defeated her. If he is not the Demon King, then how does he know about paired cultivation? Belle explained that Alice taught him this magic, which can be passed on unnoticed regardless of circumstances. A week after their practical training, the prerequisite for paired cultivation is to satisfy one's most heartfelt desire. After activating the magic, the demon's magical power is restored to some extent. To maintain complete control, continuous practice of paired cultivation is necessary. Recap told Belu that the academic promotion system is not based on the educational process, but rather on the level of magical power. However, there is another way to quickly rise in the ranks, obtaining 3 hero medals. There are 3 ways to acquire them, and the most popular is recognition by the elders, achievements in club activities, and clubs do not discriminate between genders. They set out to look for a club. The demon stumbled upon a wrestling club, and not wanting to be there, started to flee. As he was running, the demon accidentally knocked over a girl. The girl whom he accidentally fell on is named Felix, a half-angel hybrid of human and angel. Felix is the fencing club president, and taking advantage of the situation, she invited Belu to her club, to which he happily agreed. To join the club, he must pass a test by enduring 3 rounds with her. Felix attacked first, attempting to stab him with great force, but the demon quickly evaded. Felix is the heiress to the fencing hero Alia. She offers to end the test, but remembering how cute she looked when he dodged, the demon proposed to continue. They made a deal. If the demon wins, Felix will give him her most precious possession. Beginning the second round, Bnelt infused his sword with the spirit to discover Felix's true desire. The Angel clan is renowned for their swordsmanship, and the most talented individuals of each generation become disciples of the holy warriors. The clan honors pure blood, and half-breeds grow black wings. When Felix was a child, he was constantly beaten and taught to consider himself a despised creature. Thanks to his mother's persistent pleas, he was given the opportunity to learn fencing. Then, Ilya appeared and took him as her disciple. She taught him the art of sword crossing and the wings of light. The light wings create sword images to preserve their lives. To deflect the real sword, the opponent needs to reflect it. Using the light wings, Felix attacked Belle. She wanted to know what will was hidden in his sword. Belle threw his sword aside, dodged her attack, and embraced her from behind. They fell to the ground, with him on top of Felix. Felix accepted defeat and joyfully announced that the demon is now a member of her club. The demon wanted to kiss her, but Felix turned out to be a boy, even though he was dressed like a girl. It is often difficult to distinguish between men and women in the Angel clan. On that day, the Demon King fell into the longest D state. 2 days later, Alice and Newt came to cheer him up and deliver the news. Along with them came Felix, who gave the demon the most precious thing, the hero's medal. Alice reported that she also joined the fencing club with Newt and wants to fight the demon at the hero's festival. The girl also reported that men and women are no longer separated in the academy, and they may be in the same class with her. The hero's festival is a celebration that requires the permission of all the teachers to participate. Recap has already gathered all the consents for Belle, except for Aphrodite's permission. The boys went to her office. Belle wanted to knock on the door, and at that moment it opened. He accidentally placed his hand on Aphrodite's chest without having the time to retract it. Aphrodite, better known as the iron-fisted dominatrix, complained about the demon's disobedience. She led Bella to a fitting room and tied him to an iron chair. Aphrodite whipped him with her magical lash, trying to extract all of his madness from him. With the power of Cain, the demon turned the lash against her and pressed on her erogenous points. At that moment, Reccat entered and put an end to it. The teacher gave them permission to exact revenge at the festival. The day of the festival arrived. The teams began to form. Newt chose Bella to join her team, and Alice and Elthia Roxana joined them shortly after. They went to the dragon's dungeon beneath the academy. The walls were adorned with images of the Battle of Demachi. The battle lasted 10 days and 10 nights on the Ilazi Plains. Later, near Mount Street Guard, the heroes fell into an ambush by a fire demon and suffered heavy losses. There were many such traps, and in the end, 2 heroes had to make the ultimate sacrifice. Newt's team had the task of defeating the fire demon, defeating the guardian of the Demon King, and capturing the High Castle. After saying their goodbyes, they went their separate ways through the 4 tunnels. In his tunnel, Bella heard a long-lost children's song of the demons and then saw demonic guards. The demonic guardians turned out to be puppets, so Belle easily defeated them. The demon moved on to the next stage, the battle near the Sengard volcano. Before him appeared a fiery demon, surprisingly of the feminine gender. The fiery demon attacked Belmont with the wrath of Saint Gard, the traditional skill of the clan of fiery demons. Flames surrounded Belle. He remembered that flames use their own power as fuel, so he simply waited. But it was a mistake. Teachers hid behind the puppets and continued to provide support. The magical power of the puppet would not only not run out, but would also grow. Since the puppet is controlled by magic, there must be a connection between it and the teacher. Using the eye of true knowledge, Belle found the core of the fiery demon and ripped it out. The teacher's magic was passed on to the monster through a special core. Now it was with the demon, so the magical power of Aphrodite's teacher began to rapidly deplete. After defeating the fiery demon, Belle returned to the starting point, the dragon's dungeon. Alice, Newt, and Roxana were already there, arguing and worrying about the demon. When he appeared, the final stage of their trial began. All the doors closed, and the king demon's guard, the little Lacey, appeared. She created multiple clones. For every killed clone, several new ones appeared. Using the eye of true knowledge, Belle was able to find the real Lacey, but his magical power was not enough to defeat her. To recover and use the power of control, Belle absorbed the magical power of Newt, Alice, and Roxana and was ready to attack Lacey. In the past, Lacey had always worshipped King Belmont, his portraits, statues, and even his shadow, and it was her weakness. Using absorbed magic, Belle created a demon king image before her. But Lacey did not bow down. Lacey played the role of the last Iron Maiden, the teacher Aphrodite. Remembering how he had defeated her last time, the demon tried to press on those exciting points again. But this time, she put up a defense. Aphrodite struck Belle with her whip. The demon searched for her weak spot and found it. Belle exposed himself before her, and for the first time seeing a naked man, she was aroused and lost control. To resist him, Aphrodite printed herself into a prison of desire suppression, but the demon destroyed the prison. Aphrodite was ashamed of her desires, and by suppressing them each time, lost the strength of her control. The demon simply helped her to free herself, for which the Iron Lady thanked him. After absorbing the 3 girls' powers, Belmont regained 20% of his magical strength. As a result, his appearance changed. His hair became longer, his horns grew bigger. To prevent him from being naked, Alice gave him the costume of the Demon King. Wearing it, Belmont became even more like who he was before. Suddenly, the dead hero, Klim, appeared. He banged his huge axe against the walls and aimed at the demon. Klim took part in the war against the Demon King and died at the hands of these demonic creatures. This explained his hatred towards Belmont, but what was he doing in such a place? Yesterday, someone used black magic to release the spirit of the long-dead hero. The dungeon began to crumble. Teacher Aphrodite led the girls out of the dungeon, while the demon held Klim back. For the safety of the academy, Belmont decided to change the battlefield and move to a simulation of a plain near the volcano. 20% of his restored power was not enough to defeat the monster. Clem swung his axe at the demon and almost cut him into pieces. But at that moment, Aphrodite appeared and stopped him. Even if her magical power did not recover, she could not allow her students to die before her eyes. At the age of 12, the boy she liked confessed his mutual love for her. However, her father ruined everything. He forbade them from seeing each other and later informed Klein of his death. From childhood, Klein was forbidden to experience feelings of love and affection. Her father locked her up in a prison of suppressed desires, forbidding her from hanging out with friends and even smiling. This is how Klein grew up to be an Iron Lady. With Kane's help, Belle learned of Klein's sincere desire, and by kissing her, activated their paired cultivation. This was the only way to increase his powers. Activating paired cultivation and using his control, the demon defeated and laid to rest Klim's soul. The team proceeded to the next stage of the festival. While Aphrodite went to the director, the festival participants were to pass through the Hall of Heroes and undergo a new trial. However, the teams have now been cancelled. The hall was adorned with golden statues of heroes from different times. These statues held the souls of these heroes, enabling them to speak. The students were required to undergo 3 trials of loyalty, courage, and wisdom. The first trial was for loyalty, with Mordini as the examiner, the most loyal human warrior. The first student who dared to attempt the trial was overly confident, trying to convince Mordini of his loyalty. However, Mordini sensed the falsehood in his words and killed him. How could a student be killed at the festival? No, it was just a simple illusion. Hero Mordini asked the students questions that tested their ability to become heroes, pass, or fail. Honesty was required. Alice, Newt, and Roxana passed the loyalty trial and waited for the demon to complete his trial. How could the Demon King be a hero? If he answered truthfully, he would not pass. While waiting for his turn, the demon observed how Adonis's secretary used invisible magic to cheat. This was a special magic of deceit that ordinary creatures could not see. Only a mage with sufficient strength and control could see it. Using this magic, Theresa passed the trial. After her, it was the demon's turn. Mordini asked him the question, "Who is the greatest hero?" Everyone knew the answer was Ilya, but the demon named the Demon King instead. Having said this, the demon was about to cheat just like Theresa, but it did not work. The statue released its spirit, which was really going to kill the demon. However, upon seeing the hole in Mordini's chest, Belle was glad to recall the 100 blows. 50 years ago, young Mordini came to the Demon King's castle to kill him. They made a deal. If Mordini did not defeat the demon within 100 blows, he would recognize him as the greatest hero. Belmont won. Everyone thought the Demon King was a shameless and cruel demon, but it was not true. Belle released Mordini alive, but it was a disgrace for the warrior to return alive without victory. Mordini himself plunged his sword into his chest and acknowledged the Demon King as the greatest hero. After Mordini recognized Belmont as the greatest hero, Glass destroyed his soul and the students moved on to the next trial, the bravery test. Fiona became the examiner for the second part of the task, the Phantom Hero. She created illusions in which the players had to face their fears. In the illusions, the students had no magical powers. Pink petals rained down on the students' heads, and everyone was caught in the illusions except for Theresa. Her special glasses prevented her from falling asleep. For most of the players, the King of Demons was their greatest fear. Alice had always lived in the shadow of her grandmother, Ilya. Everyone said that Alice was incapable of anything, unlike Ilya, and that was her greatest fear. Alice had to confront her grandmother without using magic. The demon's deepest desire was to stop the eternal war between demons and other races. 50 years ago, Ilya sealed the King of Demons with the heart of Goody and pear cultivation. In the pursuit of his sincere desire, he sacrificed his life. Belmont was afraid that he would be sealed again. Meanwhile, Alice overcame her fear. She realized that being a hero doesn't necessarily mean being stronger than her grandmother. You just have to find something you want to protect, and that will give you the strength to defeat anyone, even without magic. On parting, Ilya asked Alice to find the heart of Goody. The demon had always yearned to live in harmony with humans, yet they and all other races had never ceased to disturb him. The demons were loathed and relentlessly hunted down. Belmont was immortal, as were the wars waged against him. The illusion of the demon was comprised of bloody battles, endless warfare, and heaps of corpses. He cried out and implored the people to stop, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. The suffering of Belmont was interrupted by the magic of Teresa, who transported the demon into her own illusion. In this illusion, the demon was unable to wield magic, whereas Teresa could. She mercilessly struck the demon until he shattered her glasses. As soon as he did so, the illusion of Fiona took effect on Teresa, and the strongest fear of her secretary, Adonis, materialized. Above all else, Teresa feared that Mr. Adonis would be displeased with her. Teresa loved Adonis dearly, and this unrequited love made her submissive. Teresa succumbed to her fear, and now, as a result, both of them risked failing the trial, for only a few minutes remained until its completion. Belmont learned that Teresa had entered into a servant contract. The demon sensed that Teresa's fear stemmed from this contract magic and attempted to break it, but to no avail. The demon decided to return Teresa's glasses and release her from the illusion of Fiona, yet not before copying the glasses for himself. Now they both remained only in Teresa's illusion. The young lady intended to depart without the demon. He hinders Adonis from living calmly, and he deserves it. The demon must remain here, lose the battle, and then depart from the academy. However, if Adonis is such a lovely and powerful being, he has no reason to fear such a riff-raff as the demon. Teresa pondered on this and subsequently resolved to give Adonis the benefit of the doubt. What if she is really worrying about him needlessly? Teresa took Belmont with her, and they both left the illusion. They managed to exit the illusion before the end of the exam. Yet, Fiona knows that they passed her illusion and planned to disqualify them. But with the aid of invisible magic deception, Teresa re-entered the statue's mind and reprogrammed its decision. She reprogrammed the decision for the demon as well, but only because they were in the same illusion. Meanwhile, the individuals who attempted to kill Belmont were furious that he passed the second stage of the trial. The next stage had begun, the test of wisdom. The examiners were as follows: the Orc General, the Invincible General Permit, the Gnome Hero, the Leader of Calculations, Darden, the Elf Hero, the Unpredictable Rockfield, and the Hero of the Human Race, the God of Strategy, Comport. The four examiners would ask separate questions and give tasks, and only by answering all questions correctly would the players be able to pass the exam. After the two previous trials, only 7 students remained in the game. At the start of the exam, they found themselves in complete darkness. Then, a blue-green light appeared from the topographical map on which they stood. On it, the students saw an image of the Battle of Mordani, which was fought on both land and sea. The grid beneath the relief had a total size of 8x8, resembling a chessboard. The players needed to correct everything and put an end to Permant's persistent idea. In the heroic game of chess, there is a formation called 7 stars and flames. However, General Permant's formation in the Battle of Mordani appeared as 7 stars. Such a formation was too scattered, leading to the destruction of the entire army. The correct method of formation should be 7 stars and flames. To reduce distance, form a circular formation, and gather the energy of the 7 stars together. Alice remembered that Ilia once told her that attacking from multiple points is ineffective as the demon's defense is too strong. It is necessary to use the 7 stars and flames formation, gather forces, focus on one point, and disrupt the enemy's defensive formation to win. All players supported Alice's decision and took their positions to form a circular formation, except for Teresa. She was having a mental conversation with the demon, still contemplating how she should kill Belmont. However, he asked her to think about how her love for Adonis was not at all similar to love. If she wants to, she can kill the demon, but then she will forever remain a puppet, paralyzed by love, and always attached to a soulless scoundrel. While they were talking, the exam time was coming to an end. At the very last moment, Teresa managed to take the 7th position. The 7 stars and flames formation was activated, the placement was correct, and the students succeeded. After completing Permant's task, they moved to the legendary treasure of the Gnome Hero. Darden posed a problem for the students. They had to calculate the exact weight of the treasures they could take with them in the event of an explosion in the treasure trove. Tony Bao was the first to do the calculations, but he was incorrect and was eliminated from the game. Felix did the calculations next, but he too was eliminated. Every time they made the same calculations, the answer was different. Legend has it that Darden never found the right answer, so he died here. Are the treasures cursed with magic? While everyone was guessing the solution, the demon already knew the answer. More than 50 years ago, the Demon King established a rule for this treasure trove. If the weight of the taken treasure is accurate, one can leave alive. Due to his own foolishness and greed, the dwarf died in the treasure trove. The answer to the problem is very simple. The most precious treasure is not a pile of metal on the ground, but ourselves. By naming their own weight, the players proceeded. The third stage was the test of the elven hero. The students found themselves in the fantastic forest of Rockfield. Before them were 99 coffins, one of which held the body of Rockfield. They had to find the coffin with the body. Each player only had one chance. The coffins could only be opened after they made a choice. When Roxana was little, her family, her forest, her people, all burned down. Only she managed to survive. Since then, she was taught to seek revenge, taught to remember that demons are to blame for everything. Therefore, Roxana was among those who wanted to kill Bnelt. Bnelt chose the third coffin, but it was empty. Alice hinted at a way to cheat, for which she lost the chance to answer the question. Newt found a way to find the right coffin. Players were prohibited from opening them, but there was no mention of them being untouchable. Newt tossed all the coffins into the air. Since human remains are inside the coffin, its weight should be the heaviest, and the height to which it will jump should be the lowest. She found the right coffin, but it turned out to be empty. Now only Teresa and Roxana have the right to answer the question. Using invisible magic of deception, Teresa created a fake Rockfield body according to the statue. He looked real, and everyone believed it, except for the examiner. He disqualified Teresa for deception. Now she not only left the festival, but was also banned from participating in it for the next 3 years. Now the decision remains only with Roxana. Roxana chose the coffin that was closest to her. Before opening it, she opened all the other coffins. A simple hiding spot is easy to find, but elves are clever and wise. When one space is opened, the body is teleported to another enclosed space. Therefore, no matter which coffin you open, it will be empty. Only by opening all the remaining coffins, the remaining one will be the correct answer. Roxana made the right choice. The body of Rockfield was lying in the coffin. Besides, something was left there for Roxana, a magic mushroom. From the magic of the mushroom, the girl lost consciousness. Roxana lost consciousness, and in her dream, she saw the truth. The fire that burned down the entire elven forest and her family was caused by the elves themselves. The leader of the elves, not the Demon King, was to blame for the fire. In this way, the elven leader was inciting his people against the demons. When Roxana came to, the next trial began. 4 students moved on to the test of Comporta, the great strategist. The topic he had prepared for them was the work of his entire life, the infinite labyrinth. They had 2 hours to complete the task. The last labyrinth was merciless even to its owner. 4 exclusive entrances to the labyrinth appeared before the students. After saying goodbye to each other, they entered their respective labyrinths. In Roxana's labyrinth, there was a vast field of identical flowers. The mushroom she found helped her to find a way out. In Alice's labyrinth, there were wooden stairs, locks, and various passages. To find the way out, she tried to burn everything around her. Entering his own labyrinth, Newt was confident he would quickly find a way out. He was used to getting out of tangled places by following the sun. But now, there were 9 suns in his labyrinth and a mountain of stone with a narrow gorge. In Belmont's labyrinth, there were places where the demons were buried, huge stone prisons, and tall tombstones. Behind each prison was the death of the Demon King. Behind the first tomb, he was burned alive. The second death was from electric shocks. The third death was from animal tearing, and the fourth was from the demon's lust. Comporta gave Belmont a choice, how he wanted to die. Using the eye of true knowledge, the demon found a source of light and headed towards it, hoping to find a way out. When he reached the end, he found himself back at the starting point. Meanwhile, those who were against the demon released the spirit of the deceased hero again. This time, the spirit of Comporta. The demon, like all the other students, walked for a long time towards the exit, but always ended up back at the starting point. Then, in the demon's labyrinth, the spirit of Comporta appeared. He explained to Belmont that the cycle was endless, and so was the labyrinth. Every time players moved forward, they simply entered a new labyrinth. Comporta could not choose to leave because the labyrinth was his body. He has become one with the labyrinth, maintaining its power for many years. Belmont wanted to destroy Comfort, but in doing so, he would only replace his spirit and become the mind of the labyrinth, never able to escape. But what about the time limit? Time stopped as soon as they entered. Now the demon had two options. The first was to destroy Comfort's spirit and replace it as part of the labyrinth. The second was to voluntarily stay in the labyrinth with the other players. If he chose the first path, he could free Alice, Newt, and Roxanne. The demon did not want to stay here forever. He had become different, not like before. He now had feelings that he could not previously experience. He decided to kill the spirit. However, Glass had already done that to Belmont. She killed Comfort, and in doing so, the horse girl thanked the Demon King for what he had done 50 years ago. 50 years ago, the demon released Glass alive from his castle, despite her coming to kill him. But even so, she still died. When she left the castle, the elves, whom she considered her friends, killed her. Thanks to the demon, Glass saw who her real enemy was. When she left, the mission was accomplished. The demon only understood one thing. If being a hero was so painful, then why did so many people want to be heroes? At the same time as the demon, Newt, Alice, and Roxanne passed the trial, they successfully completed the second stage of the festival. The third stage will begin in 2 days, during which time they will have the chance to rest. While Belmont was on the trial, Racket prepared a surprise for him. He took his older brother to a brothel to celebrate his successful completion of the trial. In the brothel, Belle saw men making advances towards Lacey. She had become a waitress here and was asked to please the guests. The man who raised his hand to her was Andrea, the champion of the last magical decathlon, who scored a perfect result of 500 points. This information did not surprise Belmont. He made Andrea apologize to Lacey. Andrea's gaze seemed familiar to him. Andrea was reluctant to apologize to the outcast race. They had made a deal with a demon. If Belle defeated Andrea in the third stage of the Heroes Festival, then Andrea would offer his apologies to Lacey. The next day, to celebrate the Academy's 50th anniversary, 3 former champions were specially invited to participate in the final. These were Pacini of the Beastman race, Holt of the Gnome race, and Andrea of the Human race. The demon was not willing to back down, as he now represents not only himself, but the entire demon clan. In the evening, Belmont dined at Lacey's home. She prepared the tastiest dishes of the demon clan for her master. The sale of ingredients for demon dishes is forbidden, but Lacey and the senior demons found them for Belmont's sake. During dinner, Lacey gave the demon a vial of dragon saliva. It is very difficult to collect, as saliva disappears at a surrounding temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. For the past 2 nights, Lacey had been going to sleeping dragons and collecting the falling saliva with her mouth. After that, she spit it into the vial. Belle was deeply touched by her efforts. Tomorrow, the Heroes Festival final will begin. This is the last chance for Belmont's enemies. If he wins, all the demons will be inspired, and they are likely to unite for resistance. The new order on the continent will be seriously undermined. In Edward's spirit repository, he prepared a new trap for the demon. Adonis and Teresa overheard his sinister plans using a bat. Teresa was worried that there would be chaos at the festival and wanted to warn the Academy. But Adonis forbade her. He will take care of it, so that Alice does not participate in the final, and the rest of them are irrelevant to him. Before the final, everyone was gathering their strength. Newt was at home among the Beastmen. They were very proud of her, as she was participating in the Heroes Festival final. After dinner, she planned to go to bed, but her father stopped her. Newt was already an adult, and it was time to choose a life partner. A whole crew formed for her hand, but she quickly dispersed them all. Another Beastman appeared, not letting her go. The handsome, tall, and strong man was none other than Pacini. Though he had caught the eye of Newt, she pushed him away upon contemplating the demon. Before leaving, Pacini assured Newt that he would protect her at the festival and wouldn't allow any man to lay a finger on her. The next day, Newt and Roxana arrived at the Academy early, where they met Belmont. Unlike their usual greetings, Newt refrained from embracing him and asked him to keep his distance at the festival. At the official Rose family residence, in Alice's bedroom, the servants stopped her from fully dressing up on Adonis' orders. However, Alice dismissed them and left only one maid with her. The maid's hair color matched Alice's, so she simply changed into Alice's clothes. Before stepping into the courtyard, Alice faced off with Royd, and she defeated him with one strike this time. Adonis awaited Alice before the final gates of the residence. Alice and Adonis engaged in a battle. Adonis trapped her under an icy curtain, but she broke free. Alice attempted to escape to the gates, but she lacked the speed to outrun Adonis's massive ice needles. He wanted to create a cage from the needles, but Alice climbed up onto them, avoiding the trap. Adonis decided to attack her with a frozen tornado. It was a full-scale magical attack, and Alice had no chance of surviving it. Despite this, she stood her ground, determined to become a hero. Adonis ceased his attack. There were countless heroes in this world, but he only had one sister. Alice convinced Adonis to allow her to participate and mentioned the heart of Goody during their conversation. Adonis released Alice, but before she left, he gave her a crystal. He instructed her to crush it when she was in danger, and he would come to protect her. After changing her clothes, Alice headed to the academy. The third stage of the Hero Festival has commenced. The finalists are the winners of previous festivals, Andrea, Pacini, and Holt. The rules for the final dictate that students will be teleported to the open training base of the Academy, Merlot Island. The Hero Medal is hidden somewhere on the island, and the first to locate and return it shall be declared the champions. There are no rules on Merlot Island. If a player encounters danger, they may surrender, which will permit them to return to the Academy unharmed, but will also result in immediate disqualification from the competition. Lastly, the director reminded them not to trust anyone, and that bringing personal items, including clothing, is not permitted. Everyone was teleported to the island. Alice managed to teleport at the very last moment. Upon opening her eyes, she saw the beach, the sea, and a naked Bnelt. Seeing that everyone else was clothed, the demon donned his customary attire. Andrea informed them that Merlot Island was not a small holiday destination, but rather a place of banishment for criminals. Afterward, they encountered the village elder, who was present to greet them on orders from the head of the academy. Last year, administrators were present on the islands, so the players trusted the elder. He led them to the village, where everything seemed peaceful, and the inhabitants did not resemble criminals. In the evening, the elder invited them to dinner and explained that rumors of an evil population were spread by the villagers themselves. Years ago, to avoid war, the inhabitants relocated from the magical continent to this small island, where they have since lived peaceful, alternative lives. But to prevent others from disturbing them, they declared Merlot Island to be like hell. The elder asked them to keep this secret, and everyone agreed. Their meal was interrupted by a flaming arrow shot directly at their table. It was a raid by the barbarians, the aboriginals of this island, who believed that the inhabitants had seized all of the island's resources. While they were inside, the barbarians had captured an innocent girl, stripped her, and threatened to drink her blood unless the students came outside. The demon was the first to exit. He could not tolerate such treatment of women. Belle, Newt, Alice, Roxana, and Pacini embarked on a battle with the barbarians. In exchange for killing them, the village elder promised to give them a clue on where to find the hero's medal. Due to the scent of blood, the purification factor was awakened in the demon. Belmont was reborn, and he became someone different, retaining only the power of the Demon King. With the purification factor, the Demon King awoke, ruthless and cruel. He attempted to take over Belmont's body, but he did not succumb to it. After the battle, the elder led the heroes to a well. According to the old man, the information about the hero's medal was hidden in the well, and the stone lying on it was a seal. To remove the seal, they needed to combine the power of all the students. They united their magical powers and destroyed the stone. As soon as the seal was broken, fairies flew out of the well, along with the trapped power. The village residents were actually criminals whose power had been sealed. The barbarians were the real inhabitants of the Merlot Island. The elder, having gained magical power, became younger and was the leader of all the criminals. He deceived the heroes, made them kill the barbarians, and break the seal. The criminals also wanted to find the hero's medal, as it was not just an ordinary badge. The medal was located in the territory of the barbarians. If the continent had not sealed the criminals, they would have taken the medal a long time ago. Now they had to deal with the heroes. Alice did not fully believe that all those kind people were actually criminals, but it was true. Each one of them was a professional of hero-level caliber. Their strength was as great as the heroes who led the crusades against the Demon King. There were too many criminals. Bell wanted to use Dragon Salada to restore his magical power up to 50% for a short time. That way, he could quickly deal with them. But he did not know for sure if the power would get out of control. Pair cultivation could be used, but Bell feared Alice more than the criminals. As a student, he had to surrender to the criminals. They wanted to get to know them better this way. The thugs put golden shells around their necks as a symbol that they were with them. The shells were poisoned, weakening and causing the heroes to lose consciousness. When they opened their eyes, they were already tied up. The criminals were taking them to the natives as an apology. The students have been poisoned by a demonic worm from the golden shell, and without the antidote, the venomous worm will consume their brains, and the heroes will die within 72 hours. Now, in order to obtain the antidote, they must follow the leader. He intended to offer them as an apology to the barbarians. When the time comes, they must seize the opportunity to infiltrate the sacred Mount Merlo and steal the barbarians' sacred relic, the Dagger of the Sea Heart, which is the hero's medal. When they arrived at the settlement, they immediately went to the barbarian king. The king was very angry. Apparently, the old village elder forgot about the non-aggression agreement they signed in the early years. He kidnapped their children and killed the king's people. The elder accused the heroes of these sins. The king believed him and accepted their apology. The barbarian tribe was surrounded by a magical barrier that prevented the use of magic inside. The students were put into a huge cage and starved until late evening. Feeling their goodness, a little girl threw food into the cage for them, but was caught by the guards. The heroes stood up for her, and the guards let her go. The girl was immortal and already over 1,000 years old. The barbarian king ordered the heroes to be taken to the mountains and offered as a sacrifice to honor the gods. There were narcotic toxins in the mountain air. The barbarians wore green leaf hats to fight against the toxins. The heroes did not have such hats, so the toxins began to take effect. The students were tied to the mountain. The barbarians first wanted to burn the demon alive. The king of the demons was the black magic that began to penetrate the demon's body under the pretext of saving him from the barbarians. Bell resisted and was able to suppress this feeling. Roxa knew what was happening to the demon. She saw no danger in using the purification factor, so she decided to help the demon free himself. Roxana pretended to be under the influence of toxins and kissed him. This was not a paired cultivation. Roxana sucked the black magic out of him. The energy flash pushed the barbarian several meters away. This was not a paired cultivation. Roxana extracted the magical purification factor. Now the black demon king has absorbed her body. He tried to blackmail Bella, but as it turned out, Roxana was indifferent to him. Then the black demon nabbed Alice. Bella didn't want her to get hurt and agreed to a contract with the Demon King. The black demon returned to Belmont's body and now possesses 40% of it. After Roxana's release, nobody remembers anything. Everyone thought that the barbarians had dispersed the animals. Now, the heroes have set off for the sacred Mount Merlo. Upon reaching the summit, they discovered a stone with a drawing. The image showed a woman and a man and a man, a woman and a woman. Patchy had a similar book on the relationship between a man and a woman like the demons. The book stated that such drawings signify embraces. Noop immediately pounced on Belmont, choking him in her embrace and ample bosom. Alice, as always, became jealous of the demon towards the beastman and informed Noop that her chances would soon increase as well. Belle embraced Roxana, Alice hugged Newt, and Andre embraced Holos. As soon as they hugged, the ground beneath their feet crumbled, and they fell down. Beneath the mountain was a huge cave. In the center stood a tall lighthouse. Upon entering, they were attacked by a monstrous creature. It had many tentacles and eyes, with a huge mouth in the center full of sharp teeth. This sea creature from the pre-magical era could understand human language and enjoyed listening to compliments. The monster was so hideous that none of them could say anything pleasant to it. Its tentacles squeezed them tighter and tighter. At that moment, the little girl they had seen before entered the lighthouse. She had tamed the monster long ago. The girl called it to her, and it shrank down to the size of a small octopus. It was no longer a monster, but a tiny pea-sized creature. The girl took the octopus and ran away. The students climbed the stairs leading up and entered the only room. The room had a large stone bed and a mirror. A book lay on the floor. It was the Book of Hells, the founder of the magical era. According to legend, he had turned his life's magic into 10 short swords scattered throughout the world. The dagger of the heart of the sea was the legendary dagger of Hells. In that case, where was it? The heroes turned around and saw, in the mirror, a girl with long blue hair in a blue dress. In the reflection, she sat on the stone bed and held the dagger to her throat. To prevent her from killing herself, Alice jumped into the mirror, but she couldn't do anything. The woman died. Alice picked up the dagger, but it disappeared from her hands. The other characters couldn't pass through the mirror, so they didn't see the dagger disappear. When Alice emerged from the mirror, everyone assumed she had taken the dagger. Alice explained what had happened, and they all looked into the mirror again. The reflection showed the suicide scene again. One by one, all the characters tried to stop the poor woman, but no one succeeded. The only chance left was with Bel. He went into the mirror and surrendered control of his body to the Black Demon King. He tried to stop the woman with his magic, but like everyone else, she died. That's when Bel realized that what was shown in the mirror was not magic, but an objective fact that had happened in the past. It could not be changed. The woman must have taken her own life because of hell, and he regretted it. That's why he used this place to seal the suicide scene. What the students saw in the mirror must have been the last time hell saw this woman. Bel came out of the mirror and then shattered it with all his might. Behind the shards, everyone saw the heart of the sea dagger. Once Bel took the true dagger in his hand, the cave began to collapse. If the dagger is lost, the sacred mountain will fall and everything connected to it will too. At that moment, the little girl ran into the room and helped the heroes escape. When they reached the top, they were met by barbarians. As soon as the dagger leaves the sacred mountain, the magical barrier will disappear, and all the island's inhabitants will be destroyed. Before resolving this problem, they all ran away from the collapsing mountain. The students needed to return the dagger not only to save the barbarians, but also to save themselves. Without the dagger, they will not be given the antidote and will die. Andreas snatched the dagger from the demon and ran to deliver it to the leader of the criminals, his father. When he took it in his hands, the barrier began to disappear, and the magical power reappeared for both the criminals and the heroes. Andreas' father gave them the antidote. The mountain was collapsing. Volcanoes woke up, and their lava burned everything in its path. After receiving the antidote, Andrea wanted to kill his father and take the dagger, but he became ill. The old man did not give them a demonic worm antidote, he just gave them sugar pills. At that time, the sea witch, Kruna, Shalman, appeared. The sea demoness pulled the worms out of the heroes and saved their lives. The mermaid asked the criminals to return the dagger, and then she could release them alive. The criminals did not want to give up the heart of the sea, and a battle began. Kruna fought Andrea's father, while the students fought other criminals. When the magical barrier disappears, the magical power of the dagger can be absorbed. The dagger must be returned before this happens. Kruna summoned a huge sea serpent and directed it towards a criminal. The heart of the sea dagger cannot be defeated by the sea, but nonetheless, the dagger disappeared from Andrea's father's hands. This concludes the first part of the retelling of this manhwa. If you want to see a sequel, be sure to subscribe to the channel with a bell, because that way you'll be the first to know about new and interesting videos. You can also watch other retellings on this channel.